Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thank you very much for watching that earwax removal compilation video today. We've got two patients in this compilation video. So the first one here, you can see we've got this very kind of messy wax around the entrance to the canal here. And just beyond that, we've got a very, very narrow section to the canal, which only just about fits the standard size ulnar tube. So you can imagine it's very, very small gap to work in. So what I'm doing here is just tidying up the entrance first of all, which gives me a clearer view then of the canal walls themselves at this narrow section, and we're very slowly working our way through here. Now obviously you know from previous videos sometimes you have to kind of wiggle this wax to get it through. Well, the difficulty we're going to have here is it's not a great deal of room in here to do a lot of wiggling, so we're going to have to rely more heavily on the actual suction from the machine itself, holding on to and be able to pull this wax through this gap. So you can see a few fine little cilia there just crossing across the front of the endoscope here. But I'm just popping onto this little bit of wax, just using the force of the suction to hold on to the outside edge of it, and then just slowly working this down the canal. So working it and rolling it forwards. What I'm trying to do is pull it and roll it through the gap itself. So we've got that top section away. Now obviously what that means now is we've got this bottom section here, which is in the sort of pinch point, the very narrowest part of this little valley here, is very stuck. But I can't lift it because we've got so much wax above it. So we're going to carry on trying to take this top section away. There we are. You can see a good thick chunk of wax came away there. Very, very dark in color. So you can see that this has been in here a little while. Now, obviously, we talked about wax migration, and with jaw movement and things like that, the wax will slowly migrate down. The difficulty is when you come to these much narrower sections of canal here, as it tries to pass through the canal with that jaw movement as well, and with the natural migration with skin and everything else moving down the canal, it kind of gets stuck, it gets wedged, and because it can dry out a little bit then, it perfectly forms to the shape of the canal, which is what we've got here. So we're just trying to sort of loosen this deeper section. We can just about start to see the beginning part of the eardrum here. So we can just see the top of the drum. So now we have to lift this bottom section here, try and detach it whilst not touching these canal walls. You can see is proving quite difficult. So let's get a good grip on this top section, and let's have a look and see if the force of suction is able to hold on to this top section here. There we are, you can see it just starting to lift from that left canal wall there and getting drawn around. So the wax itself is starting to turn slightly. So we're going to get a leading edge on this. It's got to that narrow pinch point now. That's where it's a little bit stuck. You can see now the bottom section has started to free as well. So we're getting a good grip here, just very slowly and very slight wiggles. You can see what I'm doing here is almost a forward and back movement just to try and keep it moving rather than the side to side that we normally do. There we are, it's starting to work its way down. It is really tight there. It would be a little bit too tight sometimes just to get the Jobson horn in, which is why I've opted to stick with the suction. And the other thing you'll get with a Jobson horn is if you haven't quite got the gap at the top, you run the risk of knocking it further back in again. So we're just going to stick with a little bit of suction now, pulling this down, really trying to wiggle this top section through if we can. Guys, I'm trying to slow down a bit. I know a lot of people thought my last video was a little bit rushed because I was trying to squeeze so many announcements in. So I'm trying to slow it down. What I will do though is I'll put the announcements if we've got any at the end of the video from now on, so it doesn't interfere with the wax bit, okay? So you can see now we're just holding on to this, really trying to pull these deeper, darker, dry bits of wax through that narrow channel there. There we go, there it is. It's just starting to come away now. You can see that was that deeper section. You can just see how much wax was just beyond that narrowing. And there we are, there's the eardrum there looking lovely and healthy. And this is the wax removal. It looks a bit pitiful. We did get some bits getting sucked into the tank as well. We got, well, I would say that's just under 1.5 centimeters, so roughly about half an inch there, give or take. But you can see a very, very deep ebony color wax. Very similar actually to this patient here. Now this was a lovely gent. They came through today actually. And what you'll see here is we've got this very dark dark wax. Patient's been experiencing some hearing loss on this side. Patient does wear a hearing aid on this side as well, so the hearing aid's been whistling and squeaking because the sound can't get through the wax and has been bouncing back out of the ear basically. So what we're going to do here is just slowly pick this one apart. I quite like these types of wax. This more kind of crumbly nature to this wax because it tends to come away in lots and lots of little pieces, and we can just get a grip at the bottom. We're having to work quite close to the outside edge of the ear, which is why the endoscope is sitting just behind the cilia there, which are just in front of the view. We will go a little bit further in as we go deeper into the canal. Then the endoscope will pass through that, so they won't be obscuring your view. You can see that it's almost sucking all of the light from the endoscope here. It's almost like a very dark cave, if you like, almost in there, because the dark nature of the wax is just kind of absorbing all that light. So obviously the light on an endoscope is very, very bright, but if you've got very, very dark wax everywhere inside the canal, it can kind of absorb that in a little bit. So sometimes we'll turn the brightness up, turn the exposure up a little bit to make it a bit easier to see. But while these pieces are coming away nicely, there we are, we can just see it lifting from this left canal wall here. I'm trying to aim that a little bit further back. What I'm doing is, as I'm lifting, I can see just this side. So this side of the camera of the suction tube there, I can just see it lifting further back. So I was just backing up a little bit to try and find the edge of that wax. There we are. Good chunky bit of wax there came away. And you can see it's starting to look a little bit brighter in here now because we've exposed some of the ear canal. We're getting the reflected light bouncing off the canal skin itself now. So we've got this large chunky bit of wax. There was quite a bit we took out of this patient's ear. There we go. That's the next section just coming through now. Just very slowly drawing this down the canal, uncovering, and there's still more in here. So you can see just how full this canal was. The age of the wax, obviously it's quite old. It's always difficult to put an exact time frame on this, but I would say this has probably been in there at least probably about 18 months, 2 years, looking just how dark some of these pieces are. Don't forget the wax is slightly acidic, so when it oxidizes with air, it gets this very dark color to it. There we are, we're just getting to these deeper sections now. So we're just over halfway down the ear canal. There we are. And you can see these deeper pieces are a little bit drier in here as well. So they've dried out just a little bit more, which means there's a little bit more sort of substance to them. So as you pull these out, you get a much better purchase on those pieces of wax, and they tend to stay together a little bit better. So you tend to get these much bigger chunks coming away. But as you can see, we're still going now. We can still see there's more wax in here. There we are. So that's coming away really nicely. We'll take a look behind that. There we go. There's the eardrum here. Now, obviously, as we were taking this wax down, we can see we've got this very kind of thick, sludgy bit just here to the right-hand side. That just needs to come away. It's just where we've pulled the wax through this opening. Little bits have broken away and stuck to those little sticky bits of wax there. Just a bit of tidying up. There's a little bit on the roof of the canal there. So we'll just pop that down. There we go. And you can see that little section there. And if we take a look behind that now, there we are. We can see the eardrum there. And we'll just take this little piece off to the right-hand side. A couple of little stray hairs in there as well, which will come out with you know, as patients are bathing, showering, as it comes out with bits of wax and bits and bobs. So you can see the eardrum there, right side of the eardrum, blue light reflex on the right side. But look how much we removed from that canal. So that's just under 1.5 inches there, which I think is 1 3/8 inches, I think. And you got about 3.5 centimeters, and they're quite thick pieces as well. It's always difficult to see when you look at the top down part of it. That's why I've tried to do these kind of side on ones as well now, so you can get an idea of the height of these pieces of wax as well. So there's some quite chunky pieces in there. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did voicing it over. I hope it wasn't too cluttered. I did try my best to slow myself down a little bit there. But guys, as always, if you did enjoy the video, then please like, share and subscribe. We shall see you again for Wednesday's video. Take care of yourselves and one another, and I shall see you again real soon.